What's going on, everybody? Welcome to In the Tiny Chair. I actually have an intro now. I like that. Mr. Bug does some good work. Very different from my usual stuff as well. But
Yeah, I liked it.
yeah, I thought it was very nice. A shout out to Mr. Bug if you want anything done. He's $20. He's a cheap whore. Don't worry. But hail to the chat. I see JB's in chat and I see Legatus. There's JB. I have the chat pulled up in two different areas. Get your back taco in that tiny chair. That's right, Dre. Get your back taco in that tiny chair.
I'm in there. I'm in it.
And I see Legatus here. But as you can see, tonight's guest is Dre, Brutal Planet Comics. And Dre has some interesting stories. I can already tell just from streaming with him a little bit. I'm pretty sure he has interesting reasons for why he has done some of the stuff he's done. And for those of you who don't know or who are watching this on the replay, he is also an independent comic creator with his own independent business, right?
That is correct, Dermot. You are correct. Brutal Planet Comics is not only a YouTube channel, but it is my company where I direct, edit, produce, and write comic books. You are correct, good sir.
And it doesn't fall under CG, but it is like a part of the Iron Age stuff and everything like that, correct?
Yeah, it still falls under the Iron Age. It's not CG, but then again, anything that isn't mainstream, they all just loop us all in together at this point, and it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, essentially, yes, you're correct.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is the beginning of Good Thought. You obviously have loved comic books probably most of your life. You have your own connections. I remember you ranting and raving about She-Hulk a lot.
Oh.
They did her dirty.
Oh boy. Oh,
and man, I mean, come on.
Get out my memory, Dermy. How you gonna bring that back to me? I don't forgot all about that garbage. Oh,
obviously you were represented when they had Megan Thee Stallion twerking, right?
If that's our idea of representation, we in bad shape. We in bad shape. Good grief. Oh man, I tried to push that show out of my mind. That was a disaster. I watched my favorite heroine be butchered in front of me. That was hard to watch.
So, and the main reason I bring up She-Hulk, because I know that's where you ranted and raved the most, because I think that's around the time we first met and everything.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because obviously you love comic books. You have your own comic book area, like we've already established. Bring my words together. Tell me, where did you get the idea to start up Brutal Planet Comics?
All right, that's actually an excellent question. But like you assumed early, yes, ever since I was a kid, since I came out the womb, I had a Batman comic in my hand, pretty much. I was born in it, molded by it. I've always been a fan.
We only adopted it.
Yeah, they merely adopted it, indeed. But yeah, I've always been a fan, and I've always was into creative writing when I was growing up, when I was in middle school, high school. And when I got to college, I started getting serious about doing creative writing, even though I did not major in it, which is a crime, but whatever. I started getting into it. And then I started writing short stories. And at the time, my father had connections to the Washington Post. He used to work there for many years. And I started doing little comic strips for the Sunday papers. And I started doing those type of things, and I really enjoyed it. I was like, hey, this is fun. I really like this. I think I found my niche. And it just pretty much took off from there. I started doing novels originally. I was shooting for a novel, but my writing skills weren't quite there yet. So a lot of my early work was absolute hot trash, and I've got no shame in admitting that at all. But I continue to do short things, doing short scripts for other artists and other production companies and stuff. I did that. Then I said, screw it. I'm going all in on this idea that I had back in middle school. I had this idea. I was like, hey, what happens if somebody got superpowers based on the genre of music they listen to? And that was the idea I came up with decades ago. And I was like, you know what? We're going to see this through. And I was like, hey, I'm going to create my own banner. I'm going to create my own company. I'm going to create the whole 9 yards and independently produce it. and I released 8 issues, and it was a great success. I really enjoyed those issues, and now I'm doing the graphic novel, well, the trade paperback essentially, and I'm getting ready to run an Indiegogo for it in a couple months just to get that funded because good grief, those prints cost a lot of money. But other than that, like it was been my passion. It was a dream that I made my business to come to fruition. And I
Mhm.
think that pretty much what drove me to do it more often than not.
Okay. And real quick, guys, I do have Dre's link tree in the description. I can also drop it again. Here, actually, I'm trying to read the name of the URL. Asapigmigation.
Don't try to read it out.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to succeed at this.
Yeah, so
It
so
has that has
so
your
it's
all
in
your
two
stuff, right?
different locations. So there's Spinwiz, which is
Mhm.
where I dropped them off originally, and now I've migrated to ASAP Imagination, which is another great independent producing company. So that's where I'm at now. Um,
I'm gonna
if
show
you
these off
go to my
real.
link tree, they're all in there. You can find me all those things. It's easy. There you go. It's easy to find me. I was once told, like, once your old friend told me, he said, once your stuff is on a bunch of different platforms, that means you made it. I'm like, oh well, I'll take it for what that means. And like I'm very happy. I'm very proud of the things I've accomplished thus far, and it only goes up from here. So I'm a pretty proud panda on the things that's been done.
Hey, I'm very impressed. Like I met you right around a year ago,
Yeah, here you go.
and I'm trying to think where I have my question, my statement. I'm trying to put it together. Dermy brain, you know how this works.
Oh, I
Met
know.
you, yeah, yeah. Met you a year ago, and I think I heard that you were a comic book creator. I was like, oh, this is do CG, and then I see like you have all these 8 comic books put out, no CG tagline. You obviously have done this all by yourself, and I was
Yep,
actually incredibly impressed
yep, yep.
because I never thought somebody could do it on their own. You came out, and then Ripa did it, and it was like, well, I guess I honestly give you more credit than Ripa.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Yeah, but what Eric July has pulled off is something monumental.
Mhm.
It's something that I couldn't even freaking fathom. But I aspire to accomplish what he's aspired, and like it's been great to see his rise and see what he's done. And I've been a fan of his work, and I have both his books and stuff. Like he's great. He's great. I really do appreciate him setting a new standard. To be fair,
Mhm.
to set a new standard not only for independent comics but for comics in general, because mainstream comics have, to say the least, tanked. Is the most PG word I can use, is tanked, more or less. They're absolute hot garbage dumpster fires. And now, as of today, the market share for comics, and as far as American comics are concerned, are 9% of the market, which, if I roll back the clock a decade, that's unfathomable. The
Mhm.
other 91%, about overwhelming majority of it is manga.
Yeah.
Overwhelming majority at this point. And like, to say it out loud is crazy to me, to say that the American comics, which was once the standard for the world, is now only 9% of sales, which is unbelievable to to actually fathom. But that's why, like what Young Ripper did, Eric July, he set a new bar. He set a new precedence
Mhm.
for American comics. I like to think of myself as someone that follows in that same trajectory of putting out good stories and writing good stuff, good content, characters that people can relate to and people can enjoy. I think that's the new standard that it should always have been, like it was decades ago when I was a kid. But now we've lost that over the last very short period of time, 5 6 years. We've lost it all. So to see that, in the independent sphere, that we are pretty much setting a new bar. It's a tremendous thing to be a part of.
Mhm. It really is. But I have tried to tell like comic creators this a whole lot, and I think just had his name, Graham. Chuck Dixon said it best. That the comic book industry basically committed seppuku on its own,
Yeah.
offed itself,
Yes, it does.
because they decided to not go into Walmart or anything like that until much later in life.
Yeah.
But I like to tell people that where I grew up, I didn't have a comic book store growing up. I just didn't have access to it. But for about the first 4 years of my life, I can remember going to what was called a Food for Less, basically like a cheap area to get groceries. And they had comics. And then one day they just didn't. So after that point, I never got to read comics ever again. I had Dark Horse, DC, Marvel, and then I went over there one day to go pick up a comic because that was the little thing we could do because we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. And I go over there, and the next thing I look up, I go like, "Where's all the comics? All I see is these like magazines about stuff I don't care about. Where's Spider-Man? Where's Batman? Where's Superman? Where's my Star Wars?" And it wasn't there. So I was completely kept out of the comic book industry. And when Marvel started rising and stuff, I know it's kind of heresy to say this. I was one of the Wikipedia guys. When a new movie was coming out about a character or something, I was like, okay, well, I want to know more about this character. I want to learn about this character. So I did the Wikipedia, I did the Google search, I did the deep dives. That's where I ended up learning that Doctor Strange is possibly my favorite character because he's such a badass and smart as all hell.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And Dermot, let me quantify. There's nothing wrong with being a Wikipedia guy. There's nothing wrong with it. I rather someone be that way than to just revel in their own ignorance. I rather you go that direction because I've come across some people that think they know everything when they know nothing, when literally a quick Wikipedia search could have helped them out.
Yeah.
So
I outright know I know nothing about certain comic book characters. Like Doctor Strange, I probably still have only scratched the surface on. And even some of the stuff I know about him probably isn't like good comic book lore, but I will say it's freaking badass that he sold his soul to so many demons that nobody can actually claim his soul. Like, come on, that's fucking badass.
yeah.
And you can say the F word on here if you need to. Like,
yeah, it's deep. It's deep. I think it's actually pretty. But I mean, but once again, you reference a very good point. Back when comics were fun, back when they actually had characters that made you go like, "Oh snap, that's wild!" You know what I mean? But those days are done as far as mainstream comics are concerned. It is dead and buried, and then they've put cement on the grave. Like it's gone. When you have legends like Chuck Dixon speaking out against it, this man's wrote more comics. He has forgotten more about comics than I'll ever know, and to see that he has already like I know he's doing stuff with Riververse and all the other great stuff because he knows he can see it of all people. He'll be able to see it better than anybody. So it's sad, but it's good to see that those great creators see the handwriting on the wall.
Yeah, there's that. And also I am at least lucky enough that maybe once a month I get to drive an hour into the city to go to the mall, because our mall is still actually very active and thriving, to go to a single shop called Vintage Planet or Vintage Stock. That's what it is.
Okay.
Just a very simple thing, bunch of old stuff and a bunch of old comics. And they have a bunch of like the paper book volume stuff that you can get back to backs. My eyes on, but the last time I was there, I finally got Flashpoint. But I was looking around for my Nightfall Part 1 that I've been reading as well. So
that's now are you getting the anthology of Nightfall or just the small novel ones? Which
It's essentially the novel, and it's about
Okay,
yay
yeah, the novel ones,
thick.
yeah, because there's the omnibus of Nightfall.
Mhm.
Oh my god, that one's like this big. It's freaking huge.
I
It's
want it.
huge.
Listen,
And
I read that part one. I need to get part two. I've read it back to back like 3 different times now because it's so
nice.
good.
Good. Good. Good.
And
Good. Good.
that is just beautiful. But I've been hovering over this because I think this is actually a good question. Better than
Oh,
JB's question from earlier about your mom getting paper cuts coming out the womb.
of course.
But I can never say this dude's name, even though he's been a fan for a while. Vin Zinger, aka El Otaku, aka the Weeb Pillar. Gotcha.
It's a
I
great
want to
name.
ask Dre, how does he feel about a shared universe with superhero stories, giant monster stories, killer monster stories, battle royale stories, giant robot stories, and serial killer probably anthologies?
Oh yeah, probably anthologies. That's a mouthful.
Yes.
But yeah, I've got no qualms with those type of shared stories as long as there's an interwoven uh character narrative, or at least maybe not character driven, but as long as there's a narrative that's easily followed throughout, without, especially those are a bunch of different genres that actually would be slammed together. So writing it, that would be pretty. Here's a spider that just landed right in front of me.
Okay.
I
I saw something fall down. There's been a fly in
I
here.
hate spiders. Don't you run from me, you bastard. Oh no. Oh no, you're mine. Oh no. Come here. Come to me, you skank. Come to me. Don't do this.
I will be cutting this out and sending that over to Adam later.
Okay, there goes my anxiety. Okay. What was I saying? Right.
Uh,
Yes, story. Um yes, like even though it's a bunch of different genres that are slammed together, as long as you have a narrative that can navigate through all those different genres and still have the story cohesive, I'll have no problem with that. However, that would be a heck of an undertaking with so many of those genres. If somebody was actually going to do that, I would first of all tip my do rag to it first and foremost, because that would be a heck of a thing to try to pull off. But yeah, but that's excellent question. Excellent question.
he also asked another thing, and
Go for it.
God, where did it go? And I think this goes to both of us. And actually, I'm very much pro this. How do you and Dre feel about motion comics and paper theater being used for storytelling? I'm actually for it because I go back to like I couldn't get comics growing up, so some motion comics are like redos of like past storylines and stuff. That way, you can go back and at least see it, and then go spend buttloads of money to get like 50 copies of the same story.
Yeah, yeah. I am a huge fan of motion comics, honestly. To be completely honest with you, I did not read a lot of the Star Wars comics when I was growing up. I had like some of the regular novels, but the motion comics that were put in play for like the Star Wars comics, mwah, chef's
Mm.
kiss. So yeah, I'm definitely pro motion comic, and especially for those that don't have like really large attention spans when it comes to reading and flipping through pages. It's a really good way to get into comics and to really get yourself caught up. So yeah, absolutely,
Mm.
motion comics for life. I agree.
And we've talked about this on the Legion of Memers stream. If you get it's now Max, but I still call it HBO Max account. They have a massive DC selection of just motion comics on there, just massive, and you can watch things from like Green Lantern. I know Death in the Family's in there. I know there's some Deathstroke storylines in there, so they have some really cool things that they have all throughout that. But okay, so we talked about you making your comics, a little bit about Eric July and CG. I do have a question,
Sure.
and answer it however you want. Did you ever try to get in with CG?
No, honestly, actually, no. Matter of fact, someone else had posed that question to me maybe a couple years ago. No, I've never tried to get into CG. I've always had a lot of respect for their community, just like
Mm.
any other community that's trying to express themselves in the way that they do. I like to think of myself as a friend to everybody. So it's not really uh I never really was like, oh no, oh, I don't agree with their no, never. But I've never really tried to get into it. I've spoken several of them, a lot of them I know personally, but it was just never my thing. I guess I've always been that guy that likes to stand on his own 2 feet. Um,
Mhm.
like no offense to anybody that's NCG or any other groups. That's just been my thing. That's just my move. I always like to be that guy. So I've never really had the desire or the drive to actually get into CG. Um, but yeah, but that's a good question, Jeremy. That's a good.
Mhm.
That's a good
The
question. But no, never tried.
the main reason that why I ask is because I see where you're coming from, and I actually kind of agree with that standpoint. Like I would prefer, like I might be a part of the Legion, but I want myself to stand alone and be my own person. Even though I do have like my crew around me, and I
Of
appreciate
course.
all their help, of course, but I still want to stand alone. When I look at CG, I see it more as a group of people just trying to help one another and get them views. I don't
I
see it.
agree.
I think that's kind of just how I see it and everything. But I do agree with you. I would prefer to stand on my own 2 feet, at least prove to myself I can do it without them. Then maybe see what happens later. But for the most part,
Yeah.
be alone.
Yeah, and look, and that's my thing. I'm like I know these folks from the community, and they get a bad rep in
Mhm.
mainstream media, but doesn't everybody get a
Yeah,
bad rep that doesn't fall in line with what all the hive mind thinks? Of course, you get a bad rep. Um,
I magically. No, I'm not kidding. Today I pissed off a bunch of Starfield stands by simply saying nah. Mind you, all I said was nah on somebody saying drop Cyberpunk, pick up Starfield, and I just said nah, and I pissed a bunch of them off. I got called both a racist, sexist, and a homophobe, while simultaneously my nah was getting liked by both women, black, minority, whatever you want to fucking
mhm.
say, gay people, and trans people. It's like I'm both. I love it. And also, it's weird to call me any of those because I ain't straight and I like them Latin individuals.
It's very strange to be just having your own thoughts and feelings, no matter how
Mhm.
minuscule, the hive mind will try to destroy you. And I think that speaks to a bigger issue. I'm not trying to get social or political, nothing like that,
Yeah.
but it speaks to a bigger issue about how people can no longer communicate with each other
Mhm.
on any issue at all. Like when I was growing up, like even though like I grew up in I guess would be considered not modern, but a liberal area, I
The
I would
hood.
I would consider.
You grew up in
Um
the hood. Don't.
yes, yes, very much so. And but we never had this type of discourse
Mhm.
with people that did not agree with us or didn't or felt differently or lived differently. Like the back when I was growing up, the line between liberal and conservative was razor thin,
Mhm.
razor thin. But now it's like, hey, if you like the idea of the hive mind is so far over there. It's just like, yo, anybody that has any idea and it doesn't agree with us, it must be sprayed with raid and then set on fire. I'm just like, yo, what in the world is going on? It's very, and that's why we don't have we there is no discourse anymore. There's no more discourse anymore. There is no, hey, this is how I feel about certain things. And hey, I may disagree with you, but I respect your opinion. Like that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Those days are dead.
So, to tell you how bad it's gotten, I live in small town Kansas. I like to promote that and stuff. And about a month or so ago, a big national event actually happened in the town next to me. A newspaper was raided. If you heard about that storyline, small town.
In passing. I've heard it in
Yeah.
passing.
Yeah. Um, I've said my piece on that on Rumble where I didn't like what happened, but at the same time, I'm not crying over that newspaper because the guy who owns it thinks he works for the New York Times
All right.
in a small town Kansas. So you can figure out where the local politics usually lie and where he is. But anyways, I was driving through that town both Friday of last week and Saturday. Friday, because I needed internet, and well, we turned gold out of shit. And it was me driving around the whole time for Ballbusters, but also I started noticing these signs coming up of towns stronger together. And I didn't know what it was. And then Saturday I saw them again. I was with my mom. She works in that town. So I just asked her, like, hey, what's going on with all these signs? And she says, oh, because of that, like everybody were at each other's throats, and the city decided to literally make up these signs to try to bring everybody together again. They started promoting like citywide events to try to end the fighting, but it doesn't seem to be working. And I'm sitting here thinking about this, and it's like we have gotten to this point where in my small town just 2 years ago, during the 2020 election, where people were still at each other's, weren't agreeing with each other, they put it in their signs, but they were at least able to, shake each other's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Or interact in some way. Even the people that were like super afraid of what's going on in the world during 2020 still were able to interact with the people that didn't give a shit.
Yep.
And now, after this event, half the town can't even agree with the other half of the town at all, and they don't want to interact with one another. And it's so shocking to have that happen in my small local towns.
Yeah, and that's bizarre to me.
Mhm.
It's very bizarre because, like you said, I grew up in the inner city, and do we have our problems? Best believe it. But at the same time, we all work together in a lot of different ways. Like when there was something going on in the city, we all pulled together. Like there was, oh well, be honest, there was a crack house that caught on fire, and we the neighborhood band together to try to get people out, to try to turn on the fire hydrants, all that stuff. Like, we work together. That's always been a thing. What my fear is for modern society is that it is there's so much dissidence and there's so much separation, forceful separation, not even necessary, forceful separation that that our world is completely fractured and that it
Mhm.
cannot be put together if something horrible had happened. And I think that's what concerns me the most because no matter where you vote or whoever, I don't give a toss. Everybody's a person. Everybody's a human being. There's only one race, and that's the human race, and that's my belief. We all
Mhm.
come in different shades, sure, but if I cut you, you bleed red, and I'm pretty sure you crap brown. So it's like,
Mhm.
what I mean? We're all the same person.
Well, I
Same
usually
being.
crap green, but
That's a
that's
different
no.
problem, Jeremy. That's a different problem. That's a different problem. Yeah, yeah, and but that's the way, and that's the way things are dissenting. It's wild. It's just wild. And like I was saying, like when I grew up, it was razor thin back then. It wasn't
Mhm.
hatred for who you voted for, hatred because you don't agree with this type of lifestyle, or that wasn't a thing. I like were there always pockets? Of course, there's always
Yeah.
pockets. There was always some crazy wine mom or maybe some religious nut. There's always somebody, obviously.
Yeah.
But as a culture, it was not a thing. And so seeing it like this just blows my freaking skull. It's something to behold.
And
That's for sure.
I do think it's a product of the culture war as a whole. We obviously talk about the culture war a lot. And one of the areas that, well, the culture war has deeply infected is obviously comics. What is your opinion on some of the craziness that has happened in modern comics and some of the weirdos that have said and put their and have basically destroyed it? Tom King. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
sorry. I
Tom.
had something stuck in my throat. It was probably a little bit of cum, but
Yeah. So when it comes to modern comics, I ain't gonna lie, it breaks my heart when I actually stop and look at the state of it all. Like my local comic shop that I've been going to, the one around not far from me, I've been going to for 25 years. And I think hopefully it's going to get a historic landmark soon. Hopefully that's the case. I hope it does. Shout out to Alliance Comics. Um, it's one of my favorite places to go when I was coming up, and when I go there, all I look for are back issues. That's the only thing I look for now. I'm like, hey, what old comic that I read 20 years ago that I lost or got caught in a fire or something? Let me go back and try to find that and go and get it, because there's nothing out here that's new. The new comics that are being released are abominations of the highest order. They DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, Image, and to a certain extent, IDW, they've let the crazies in. They Once you let crazies, first of all, that do not care about any of this source material, that do not care about any of these characters, that do not care about the fact that this is a culture. Comics are a culture. It's not up for These are our modern myths. If I
Mhm.
rewind the clock a couple thousand years and they're reading books about Heracles and Zeus and all that stuff, those are their myths from then. These are our modern myths, because these myths actually help define who we are as people. Who we are as people. If you tell me, oh, literature is what influences people, that's the reality. Media is what we feed our minds. And for those in the comic book community, this is our media. This is our culture. This is what makes us who we are. So these crazies that have infiltrated all these major places that do not care about the culture, but are just into pushing whatever narrative, fill in the blank, pro women,
Butt
cut your
breaking
penis off,
Superman.
whatever the variations may be, they don't care at
Mhm.
all. They don't care. So they're just there to ruin everything they put their hands on. Right now, the main comic line from X-Men right now is the marriage between freaking Iron Man and Emma Frost, and
Oh,
Iron Man's like, y-
that's that I just had it there. That's going to be their annual event,
yes,
the gala.
yes, the gala. And now Iron Man's a cuck, and somebody took all his money, and you know what? I can't do this. This is not interesting. This is you're decimating culture. And I'll
Mhm.
put this in a way for everybody to understand, just so it's clear, just in case there's anybody that's not privy to how it works. When you think of like a religious base, whatever, Christians, what have you, and then they make, let's say, Noah, all right, and they take the story of Noah, they put it in the movie, and they mess up all the stuff that was in the Bible about Noah. The religious groups, Jews or whoever, and Christians, they lose their minds,
Yes.
because that's their culture, that's their history, that's the stories that
Uh,
they connected themselves to. So when
a
it's
good
butchered
example
on the
would
big screen, oh,
a
I'm
good
sorry, Derby, go
example
ahead.
would be the Cleopatra.
Perfect.
What just
Per-
happened?
Perfect. Cleopatra being used in this culture war as she was just a black lady in Egypt running game on everybody. That's wherever you stand on history, those people that are native to that area are not down with any of that stuff. They're not down with the idea that you're
Mhm.
appropriating culture, that you're either ignoring or bastardizing. That's not something that they're into. So therefore, you're going to have outrage. The principle, and that was excellent, Dermy. Excellent, excellent
Mhm.
one. Once you start infiltrating somebody else's culture, appropriating it for yourself, just so you can spin your narrative, people are going to be pissed. And that's where the comic book community is. These people that do not care about our culture have appropriated our source material and have raked it over the coals, and then are mad at us when we tell you that what you're doing is an abomination. And then we're the ists and phobes and whatever else is, because and like, oh, you're just an old man, you're just stuck in the past. Like, no, 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 no. You have come into my house and you have violated my world. I have every right to be upset. Matter of fact, Dermy, if I tell you the short story here, Dermy, I tell you the short story here. I I was actually doing a signing. I was doing a signing a couple years ago for some comics. I was doing a signing, and there was a woman that approached me. A woman approached me, and she is like, "Oh, I saw your book. How come there's not representation of fill in the blank communities?" And I said, "Well, that's a fine question you got there." I said, "Well, let me put it to you this way. One, I cannot speak to the experience of these different communities because it will be disrespectful for me to appropriate a community or a certain genre or
Mhm.
a certain group of people without living their experience. I said that would be disrespectful if I do that. I said, "Ma'am, you're white, clearly." She's like, "Yes." I said, if I came to you and said, "Hey, I want you to write this story and I want you to speak to the black experience," would you do that? And she was like, "Of course not, because that's racist," or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "No, it's not racist, but you won't be able to properly deliver what that experience would be." She was dumbfounded because she wanted me to express myself with my arms flailing. No, because it doesn't come from an emotional place. This comes from logistics. This comes from how the world actually works, not on their weird fantasy on Fantasy Island. And the sooner we understand that, the sooner we can get back on track. But unfortunately, these folks have infiltrated so many aspects of the media, especially now in comics. Jesus Christ, and it's been warped, and it's at the point of no return.
I I just find it fascinating how people want representation so much that they're willing to accept tokenized versions of a character when they don't want it, but they don't want like a realistic version of a character. Like I talk about Gundam a lot,
Oh, sweet.
and I'm almost done with G Gundam. I love G Gundam. That's where you get a lot of more tokenized versions of characters. Let me just be real, just because it's stereotypical. G Gundam is just Street Fighter mixed with giant fighting robots mixed with Dragon Ball Z. It knows what it is. It's not trying to be anything else. It's fun. But one of their latest stories from a few years back, it's actually probably going on almost a decade now since this one came out, now that I'm thinking about it, but it was Iron Blood Orphan. And I like to go to this, and this is Japan, by the way. In it, they have a single black character that nobody really cared that he was black. He was their head mechanic, and he was fucking badass. And then towards the very end, this is Japan that did this, not America. This is Japan. There was hints all throughout that there was one character that might be gay. And they kind of confirm it in the end when the guy he has a crush on basically knows he has a crush on him. And, you know, they have that little moment, the guy dies and the guy cries over it. And nobody cared that he was gay because it wasn't a part of the story, and they acted like humans. They acted like actual people. It acted like, hey, you're in this group of child soldiers, you're all kids and you fall in love, but you're too scared to actually admit to this guy who acts super freaking straight all the time that you have feelings for him. And yeah, it's actually moving and touching to see characters act the way they are. And that badass black dude is only in it for a handful of time, but he acts kind of like their father figure, and nobody gives a shit that he's black. He's a father. And I wish we had more of that. And I've hinted at it.
Done, Dermy. Those days are done when it comes to the mainstream. It's done. Apparently, my character is whatever the color of my skin is. That's insanity. This is literally the opposite of what MLK was talking about. Literally the opposite. You want to be judged for the content of your character, not just skin. But the idea, the fact that I am black, this is now my character. I'm a black man. No, my character is who I am on the inside. That's this. What if I got burned up and I had to rip off all my skin, and then if you ever seen anybody that's been burned and got their skin back, guess what color it comes out, Dermy? Like yours. So would that then make me a white man? No, it doesn't. Who I am on the inside is what matters. Who you are, especially when it comes to character. When it comes to character, who you are is what shines through. People don't idolize. Oops, knock my thing off. People don't idolize characters because of their race, color, creed, sexuality, whatever case may be. Especially when it comes to like heroes, you idolize them because they're cool. You idolize them because there's something about their character that you're drawn to. You relate to them on a level that's got nothing to do with your skin. Everybody relates to Batman, even though it's a rich white man. Who gives a toss? Because that's not his character. His character is someone that is tough, strong, resilient, loyal, powerful, resourceful. These are character traits. It's got nothing to do with his skin color. To craft a whole story about like, oh, he's rich and white, that's boring. No one gives a crap about that. I'm interested in who you are on the inside. And we will let's be real. We're never gonna see that again. On a large scale, we're never gonna see that again. It's gonna be far and in between. Now, and I thank God Almighty that I was able to grow up in a time period where that didn't matter, when skin didn't matter anymore, when it was about character, when it's about something creative coming from my brain hole. I I'm so glad that I actually was able to live during that time, because there's so many of this generation that isn't able to experience this. They're only getting from this slop, but they don't know where else to go. And so us from the older generation have to show it to them, like, oh my God, this is insanely good. Like, yes, it is. This is what good content looks like. It's hard to understand what good is when all you know is spoon-fed slop. It's tough.
And really fast, I have a point I want to make off of like,
Please.
because we talked about it in the back room. I made a video on it today, and we're just going to use it as a point. But real quick, on the Rumble side, guys, I do have a Rumble account. If you guys want to go over there and subscribe, all links are in the description to both me and Dre's stuff. I've also been dropping the links to his comic area. I'm not even going to try to say the name of the website again. I'm going to butcher it.
Yeah.
But Professor Savage Dad on Rumble for $1 says, great interview. But now back to what you said about people basically just looking at something and immediately assuming it's this. And I talked about this a little bit in the back room. I made a video on it today, and we're not going to fully talk about like this as a thing, but it just immediately took me to this. Western fans claim Hatsune Miku is transgender after she receives pink and blue outfit and official Pokemon crossover art. And I talked about my video today. Weed Pill, you probably saw this a little bit. Hatsune Miku, those of you who don't know, is a singer from Japan. Long story to explain what it is. It's kind of complicated, but it's cool all at the same freaking time. Did it Vocaloid is the thing that they run with, did a combination with Pokemon, and this is their fairy type. Solely because she has naturally pale skin, she has blue hair with pink in it, they say she's trans now.
Isn't she just matching Jigglypuff? Isn't that the point?
Yes. These are your stereotypical fairy colors. This is the whole point about being fairy, is a little bit more feminine, a little bit more girly, something like that. But because of the colors, she's trans.
So I can't have anything that's pink or light blue without it having to represent something? That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the idea of like, oh, hey, because these colors are here, that means now this group now owns it. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to say. And once again, this comes back full circle. When you have absolutely no creativity whatsoever, and all you can see is, hey, this color's that color, therefore it means that this is what's happening. Not only are you stupid, you need to go away. You need to leave. I like, you cannot be a part of society, because if you're going to sit there and look at anything based off whatever color or whatever, uh you're living in a world of absolute assumptions. That's crazy talk. Like somebody could look at me like, oh, you're a black guy with a do-rag. Oh, you must be a gangbanger. No, that's not how that works. That's not how that works at all. This is my cultural status. My from my home, this is how we all look. This is just the way we look. But you sit there and you make an assumption just because somebody's pink and blue and chilling with Jigglypuff. Oh, it must be part of this community. Or if you have anything that has any more than 3 colors next to it, oh, you're part of this community. Like it's like, yo, come on. Like people that are the actual racist bigots, whatever phobes, whatever they would like to plaster on us.
Mm-hmm.
It's them. It's them. You are what you eat. When you look at something and say, assuming that it's part of whatever group, and if you don't agree with me, you're that. You're the one that has these types of thoughts and feelings. I've been black a long time. I don't care about race. Never have. Never
Wait, you're
will.
black?
Believe it or not, Dermy. Believe it or not. I know I got some bright lights in here, but that's what it says
God, I
on
thought you
all
were
of my
just like Jed.
identification. But that's the thing. Like I've never
Mhm.
seen like what's the term they use? I don't see color, but like in the legitimate way. I never thought about seeing somebody and be like, oh, that person's white. That means this person's blah 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 blah. Blah." Look, I remember the first white person I ever met. I was what 7 years old. The first time I ever met a white person, and I was like, cool. You're just lighter than me. Let's hang out. I didn't think nothing of it. It never crossed my mind to be like, ooh. It's it's very weird that these people that are supposed to be so progressive, so I accept everything, are the most bigoted people that I've ever come in contact with, and it's bizarre. We live in a bizarro world. I was saying to my wife the other
Yes.
day, like we live in a
Oh,
bizarro world. Then I had to explain to her what bizarro was. Then I had to explain to her about Superman, the animated series. It went down a rabbit hole. But nonetheless, we live in bizarro world, and it's insanity. And but I hopefully it all crash and burn soon when everybody runs out of money.
I think that time's coming, and I think Japan's over there laughing their asses off, and we'll get into why. But again, we got Wheat Pillar here in the chat, and I see what he's saying and everything, because he's over here talking about, like the culture war, fighting the culture war, trying to do it from a positive angle. But what do we do once the culture war is done? And I'm sitting here, I'm reading this, I'm listening to you, and I think, well, once the culture war is done, if we did everything right, Treble is going to be popular. People are still going to go back and read Treble, because within Treble, it's probably not very many political points. Like it has rereadability.
Yeah, there are no political points. It literally, it's literally doesn't touch any of this nonsense because that's not fun. That's not entertaining.
Mhm.
And to
You go,
answer the question, I think that was what was that Vinzinger? Vinzinger's
yeah, Vinzinger.
question. Once the culture war is done, I'm pulling a Thanos. I can finally rest and sit down and look at all my hard work and see when everybody because once the war is over and we've won, we can all finally come together and just enjoy stuff again. Just be able to be like, hey, let's go to a movie and then just have fun. Hey, let me pick up. I can pick up the newest issue of fill in the blank and just have a fun read. I can go to a football game without being plastered in my face about whatever ideology. It will finally be a time for me to rest and just enjoy and reap the benefits of hard work. And then the next generation can be able to just enjoy good content without being beat across the face with
Mhm.
who you're kissing, who you're voting for. It's going to be a glorious time. So, yes, we fight now so that one day the generations that come can actually enjoy. And that's the thing of every war.
And I'm sitting over here thinking about this. I talked about on Tuesday I always want to call it Tuesday night's late event. I don't know why. Tuesday Night Mayhem now is what I'm going to be changing it to, but Late Night Mayhem. I started talking about like why I do like ball busters the way I do, or how my brain kind of functions this way. Is I used to be a big fan of Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth and stuff like that. And before the culture war, their main focus was to try to make each other laugh and have fun. And as of late, I've been trying to figure out what is my goal here on YouTube. What am I trying to do and everything like that. And I think I finally figured out that I just want to promote having fun. So once the culture war is done, I'm going to still be here promoting having fun and not caring about the bullshit out there. I'm still going to be over here asking some very disturbing questions that I'm not going to say here, but very disturbing questions, but at the same time asking it just to ask it and then trying to solve the question. because I view that as having fun. I view that as, okay, there's a mountain over there. What's on top? Well, let's go over there and see. That's what I want to promote. I want to promote having fun and having a
that
good
makes
time.
perfect sense to me. That makes perfect sense because that's what this used to be. This used to be a time of escapism, going to the movies, playing your video games, picking up a comic book. Escapism, the greatest form of it. I remember you doing countless hours of binging in the 90s, watching all the cartoons and all that stuff, not thinking about any of this nonsense, but to go back to that and just be able to kick my feet up and watch all my favorite cartoons that are coming down the pipeline, because once all the psychos have been kicked out of these places, then we can get back to having fun again. I look forward to that.
I 100% agree. And I was thinking about this actually again yesterday. And when we were talking about, I don't know, content that didn't have all this stuff in it. Yesterday, there was one of those like copy pastas going around on Twitter. What show do you want to come back that was canceled? And I simply put down Teen Titans. Not this Teen Titans Go crap that doesn't exist, but Teen Titans.
And that's a good question. So for me, it's going to, well, this is going to be a good one. That's actually a good question. Me, it would be, okay, it's tied for two. Tied for two. One is Wolverine and the X-Men, which was a tremendous show. Great first season. And it was going to enter the Age of Apocalypse and got canceled. The other one, ironically, also a Marvel show, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yes.
2 really good seasons. And then they killed it. And I was as mad as a hatter because those shows were absolutely tremendous. And they brought out Ultimate Spider-Man. That was trash. But Spectacular
Ultimate Spider-Man in season 1 was okay. I'll say that much.
What, for a Spectacular Spider-Man?
No, Ultimate.
Oh, Ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get into it. I tried. It just didn't resonate with me. I think it didn't resonate with me because I was so broken up about Spectacular being canceled that I just wrote that joint off. Like, I tried to watch it again recently. It still rubs me the wrong way because that show was so good and it was just premature, just unplugged. So those shows and Wolverine and the X-Men was tremendous, with tremendous art, may I add. Tremendous art for that animated show and a good story. Very good. Top tier. So those I'll definitely bring back from the grave. Absolutely.
Before I go into where I was going to go with Teen Titans, but what was the X-Men show when they focused on like Cyclops and all them being like in high school and stuff?
X-Men Evolution.
I wish they would have done a proper Age of Apocalypse with there, because that was such a good show.
That was kind of weird.
And then they did Apocalypse. They show Apocalypse right, and then they end showing us Apocalypse again, but we never get Age of Apocalypse.
It was weird. Yeah. I actually recently went back to rewatch it because it's been 20 years. So I was like, hey, let me go back and rewatch it, and it's still just okay. I think I'll give credit. The animation was great. Animation was really good. But
Cat was fucking hot.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think they got some still frames from, oh man, what was that? Oh, what was that movie from the 90s? Oh man, it was Alicia Silverstone. Crap, whatever. They got some stills, like, like when they're dancing, all the scenes they're dancing. Those stills that they actually like traced over from this movie with Alicia Silverstone back in like the late 90s. Not Clueless. Was it Clueless?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Maybe it was. Whatever. And that's like why while they dance, the art style changes and their motion is different because they did a trace over, which I thought was really unique and really cool. I thought that was fun. But I mean, once again, this is a better time. This is a better time. Like X-Men Evolution was not my favorite show, but I look back at it, I can still have a good time with it.
I watched it much later. I think in like 2010s and stuff is when I watched it. I thought it was actually really good. It was really, really good for what I was getting and stuff. But I brought up Teen Titans for a reason. One, it was canceled before it got its 5th season, which I believe was going to focus on Starfire, and they were setting it up for a new thing with Terra and everything. And they got canceled. But I always sit down and I think I'm watching this as it's starting. Like I watched it from start to finish as it aired. This was like this perfect time. I still argue that the early 2000s to late 2000, early 2010s was like the best time in animation. I will say that, but I gotta see Teen Titans and Cyborg and Beast Boy and all these characters that are weird and everything. You never focused in on their exterior. You're focused in on their interior.
Yeah.
And they had so many good episodes, and it was sometimes used with Cyborg talking about what's inside is what counts. And one of the episodes I'm thinking off the top of my head right now is actually, I think it's season 1 when he's having a problem with being a robot, with that, like being held back by all of his robotic abilities, where he freezes up, gets put into a dumpster, and then, he starts becoming like a full-fledged robot. And he meets somebody that actually like covers up his human stuff and says, this is who you truly are, is a robot because of your exterior instead of what's on the inside, which is his human side. And to look past all this stuff. Those were some great storylines that they had back then that were about, looking at it now. Yeah, these were all about race and stuff, but guess what? It was done in such a clever way that you didn't think of it that way.
And Dermy, you just hit the nail on the head. Like I can see why the 2010s would have been peak for you, which makes sense. For me, it was about early 90s to about 2003 was about peak.
I can accept that as well.
Like for me, because for me, it was Batman the animated series, X-Men the animated series, Superman, Justice League, for me, those shows were up there. And Static was a great show. Those shows were really, really good at their peak. This is why I will say DCAU is, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest animated universes, if not greatest universes of all time. And by extent, even the animated films that came out maybe in like late 2000s, 2010s, for DCAU, tremendous.
Yeah.
So if you're looking
not the AUs, I was
Batman,
talking
Superman, Public Enemies, and
I know what you're talking about. Those are fantastic.
All those joints were absolutely tremendous, and I think that time period, right? Just for me, like for me, there's no wrong answers. Like for me, I think those stories were a bit for me because that's that was my time when I was coming up, and those stories were really impactful for me. And you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about Teen Titans, about that, looking at who you are on the inside. Nothing crafted stories better about prejudice, racism, and all the other above than the X-Men animated series. It was crafted so freaking flawlessly. It was amazing without having to list color or none of that garbage, none of that. You should be good. No, they knew how to craft a story that was so brilliant that you're able to draw your own conclusions on how to be a better person. That's how you know you have good writing. Good writing. But those days are long gone. But you were still around long at the point where, like in the 2000s, we were still dropping hits. The 2000s were dropping hits. Now, by the time like Teen Titans started coming out, I wasn't as into Teen Titans during that time period. Now, I was still into Toonami at the time. I was still into that, but I wasn't quite into Teen Titans. Like I followed the show. But I wasn't a diehard fan. But what was it? What is it? Teen Titans Go now? That's just hot as steamy.
That's hot caca. That is something that we don't acknowledge, and they try to make it good by bringing in the old Teen Titans. And the only thing that I like about that is old Teen Titans Robin outright disown Teen Titans Go,
as they should, because I don't like it. Look, I've never liked that show. Personally, I never liked it. I thought that it treated a once serious show that was to be taken seriously as a joke, but that's where everything is now. Everything's a joke. Nothing is taken seriously.
I'm hate to interrupt you right now.
Please.
Well, actually, I do kind of want to interrupt you. Professor Savage Dad on Rumble, because I do have to look over at the Rumble side because StreamYards and them don't integrate well together. Even though I heard they're gonna fix that here soon, but he just picked up all of the digital copies of Treble.
Oh my goodness. You're too good to me. You're too good to me, my friend. Thank you so very much. I hope that you enjoy it and tell me your thoughts. Or hit me up on Twitter at thebrute00 or in however
He
you want to
will.
reach me. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. This is why I
Professor
do it. This
Savage
is
Dad
why
is
I
pretty
do it.
badass.
Yeah, this is
He,
why I do it. I would
Mhm.
love to hear your thoughts. I cannot. Oh, now I'm excited. See, then make me turn a shade red. That's very,
Aw.
very, very kind of you. Thank you, good sir. I appreciate that so very much. Look at me, I'm blushing. What's happening here? I'm blushing. But yeah, but this is why we do it. So I would love to hear from you, my friend. Once you get through the series, I would love to hear what you think.
Trying to sit because I've been reading. I'm gonna call him Weed Pillar because it's a whole lot easier than saying the rest of it. I'm sorry, I'm stupid. It's like Western entertainment wants to be same as Latino entertainment, but probably worse than Latino entertainment. I think what it is, because I've not really seen Latino entertainment. I think what it is they want to appeal to everybody, but they're appealing to nobody.
That is correct. That is correct.
Weed Pillar, as I can very easily tell, because I know when you come around, it's usually when I do an anime thing, which is why I'm very happy to see you on something that's not anime based. You love anime a whole lot, and we talked about this at the beginning when what was dominating the comic book industry right now is manga. What's dominating almost everything right now is One Piece live action. One Piece, one of the most popular anime out there. Japan's doing storytelling correctly right now,
Indeed.
and they do it in a way that again doesn't focus on all this identity politic bullshit. Quite literally, in One Piece, you have cross-dressing gay guy people, all sorts of craziness, and their character is what speaks volumes.
And that I can appreciate. And see that, and this is I'm on the outside looking in here because I remember when One Piece first aired and when the manga first came out. Now, when the manga first came out, manga was not popular here in the States at that point. So it went over my head. If it wasn't Dragon Ball, I didn't really know a whole lot about it.
Mhm.
When the show started airing, I wasn't into One Piece at all. But one thing I can say is that from those that are fans of One Piece, I open my ears because when they're telling me that the Netflix adaptation or the cartoon, whatever the case may be, is accurately representing what the material is, it must be doing something right. And and as you said, like in Japanese culture, or Japanese culture, excuse me, Japanese media, manga, whatever they're doing, they are appealing to the paying customer. And the paying customer for manga, anime likes laser beams, cool characters, and hot chicks. And they're delivering it. They're delivering it in spades. And they're backstroking in gold coins, Scrooge McDuck style. And that's the way it should be. And they are not teetering because they like the money that's pouring in. They're making more money now than they ever have in the last decade because now they have transitioned all those people that used to like American stuff to their stuff. And good for them. Continue on the path, Japan. Get your money. Keep it rolling.
And I see what I'm listening and reading the chat at the same time. I'm trying to interact with the chat. I know Shakazula says that they trying to think where I'm looking at the thing. Here we go. Latino has its own area of woke, but old Mexican films are the best. And I saw what Weed Pillar said. He was talking about that in Latin stuff is more drama and comedies. And now that I'm thinking about modern West stuff, that's pretty much all it is drama, shitty dramas and shitty comedies. There is no in between where you get like a mixture of the two, like you do in One Piece. And I've been binge watching One Piece. So I didn't like the live action. Me and Adam agree on this. Like it's One Piece light, and they did things that I just did not agree with. But it got me to watch the anime again. And the anime is both super silly, where you can get moments where you're busting a gut laughing. But then in 2 scenes later, you're like, yeah, let's go get this fucker. Let's go do this shit. It has that way to grapple both these things at the exact same time. This is why I love anime to fucking death, because they play with radical concepts better than anybody else has. And I know, like, even Western comics, they've dabbled in like ideas of Christianity or even Jewish religions or stuff like this. Obviously, they dealt with Greek gods and things like that. But over in Japan, they take the ideas of like Jewish, I don't want to call it mythology, but that's the best word I have for it right now. Is they take these ideas of like golems, or they have these very broad concepts like the gates of heaven and stuff like that, and they just make a show with it. They make all this stuff and say, okay, here's these very broad, massive concepts. Let's do a show with all this stuff intertwined in some way. And they create magic. And I just love it. And at the same time, you'll see Christians being like, that's blasphemy, but that's like the very few and far between. Whereas the majority of Christians go like, no, actually they're doing it in such a way that's not blasphemous. They're doing it in such a way that is more artistic and trying to show reverence to this, but just tweaking things here or there.
And that's the way it should be. Artistic expression used to be something that we all celebrated. That used to be, and in Japanese, none can do it better. Like I remember watching a show 20 years ago called Card Captors, which was literally Pokemon with cards. It was absolutely bizarre to me, but somehow it was unique enough to get airtime. And I'm like, what the heck am I seeing? Like no one can take an abstract idea and just make it into something magical like the Japanese do. It's crazy. Like there was some joint that I had stumbled across when it was about like water polo butt fights, and it was the craziest thing I had ever seen. And I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, but it's a sport and like an animated sport. It was crazy, and I'm just like, yo, hand it off to them. Now they got Chainsaw Man. They're doing all types of crazy stuff because it's unique and it's fun, and people are just eating it up, and as they should. Really should. It's fun.
God, every time I think of Card Captors, I go to our anime ranking list where Cloud told us about it, said, have you ever heard of Card Captors? And I go like, no. And then we just start calling it Cum Captors the whole time.
Oh,
but JB, so I see what you're saying. Heaven, a place where people live eternally, is not Jewish thing. I get that. I only say that because I don't know the proper terms for when it is in the Jewish thing. Like there's a special tree that they have that is actually very prevalent in several animes. And if I was able to pull it up, I'll actually pull it up real quick. Jewish heaven. I know I'm saying that's weird, but I can find it. I don't know why the hell I just said that. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it because I don't know the proper term, but if I could draw it out, it's this weird thing that's kind of like, looks like chakra, but it's not. It's so unique, but that's why I like Japan, is because they take these concepts and find unique ways of dealing with them and showing reverence to these things. So, okay, let's just admit it though. American comic books are dead.
Absolutely.
Manga is killer.
Yes.
But there's at least something in America that, at least for right now, is killer. Video game industry.
Video games are still booming. They're still booming for now.
Even though I honestly think Starfield is potentially a failure. I don't know if we'll ever get the true numbers for Starfield. Let's just say that it came and it went. It was still a AAA title. Video games are awesome. Dre, you have background in video game industry. You want to tell us a little bit about that as much as you can?
Yes, I will tell you what I can. So yes, I have worked in the gaming industry in several different positions for a couple of AAA um studios over the last decade, and I have worked on more titles I can possibly imagine at this point.
How
As please,
can you name something that we might know?
yes, I can name some things that you might know. Uh, w- Skyrim. I'm sure you've heard of that.
No, what's Skyrim? What is this? What is this wonderful thing that I still play today? Shocking how Bethesda has not moved away from Skyrim.
Yes, I've worked on Skyrim, Fallout, 4. I've worked
So two of my
on
favorite games.
yeah, I've worked on those. I've worked on oh my goodness, too many, too many. 'Cause I've jumped from so many different studios. I've done Wolfenstein. I've worked on oh my goodness.
So it's pretty much
Yeah.
obvious that you're the reason I loved Bethesda. Let's just say that. You're the reason. And
Yes,
now that you're gone, I hate it. Shocker.
yeah, I've worked for BGS, I've worked for id, I've worked for Tango, I've worked for quite a few studios over the years. Um as an analyst, and primarily I've also done bug processing, a lot of other stuff over the years. For
You you also work with the
um
people that did the voices a little bit.
Oh no, unfortunately, I've worked with the people that do that
Mhm.
that have done the VO, but I myself have not contributed to the VO, which a lot of people think is a crime because I do VO elsewhere. But it is what it is. Um, but I've had my fingers dipped in quite a few projects over the years, even some that are still yet to come out. But those I'm pretty sure eventually those titles will come. and
Elder
and
Scrolls
but
6.
one thing I can say about the gaming industry is that it's a unique monster. Are there remnants of modern stuff seeped into them? Of course, it's inevitable. That's just the flavor of the month. That's just how it works. But the gaming community is such a unique community that you still have to deliver what they want or you will fail. It's not like television, or well, television's failing too, but it's not the same thing because it's an
Mhm.
interactive process. So like the gaming community is not a community that is easily fooled. It is not. These folks are sharp as tacks. There's a
This is
reason
what.
why people have been playing the same games for a decade. There's a reason why these MMOs have lasted forever. Because if you're giving them content that they love, they will not stop and they will continue to give you money. If you try to hoodwink the gaming community, your game will burn, your game will not sell, and then your studio will close down. We don't have to look further than what's going on with Saints Row. We don't have to even look further.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah,
you,
that,
you
that,
screw
that
with
that's
the
the best
game community.
example.
You screw with the gaming community, and now you're out of business
Mhm.
like that,
Well,
instant death. So,
yeah.
so it's a very tough thing for the modernism, whatever, to really seep their hands into it because bankruptcy is literally one bad title away. That's
Yeah.
that's the reality. It's not like movies. It's not
And
like we have a bazillion bunch of shadow corporations that's backing it or whatever, blah 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 blah. Like, no, your studio, you don't better be good or you're going to the unemployment line. So it's tough for
Mhm.
that ideology to really get into it. But when they do, studios burn. So it's much tougher for them to do that.
True, but also like when they do inject something in there, and I'm gonna go with Starfield here.
Sure.
They do find a way for you to not have to deal with it.
Yes.
That's
Yes. So if
I
we
think
just take
that
the Starfield, for example,
Mhm.
like you mentioned. You mentioned Starfield, and the idea of choosing your
Pronouns.
pronouns. That was the big controversial thing with that title or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, it doesn't come up at any other time, quite frankly. It doesn't really affect the game at all.
Although
And
if you
there's a
choose
couple.
they them, you can still get misgendered.
Yeah, I mean, how you can't give us so many voice lines. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
You can't give us so many voice lines. That's reality. And and I know, of course, everybody knows about Az's epic rant and him losing his cookies, and rightfully so. He's a paying customer. You're a
Mhm.
paying customer. You get to react any way you want. You paid your money, and like that idea of it actually affecting the gameplay doesn't affect it at all. Yes, there's a couple of moments in dialogue, but it's not really something that's affecting gameplay because most most of these AAA studios, let me be clear, most of these AAA studios know, even if they're trying to pander or whatever the case may be, they know the reality. The reality of the situation is that this game better come correct. If you're gonna pander, it better be fleeting. Because if you try that mess on the gaming community, you will be unemployed. They're not playing around. And as they should, you're a paying customer. And if somebody's not giving you what you want for what you paid for, you deserve to do whatever you want. Yell, scream, whatever, return it, get your money, the whole 9 yards. And the gaming community is such a unique community that one slip up like that, you're out of here.
Okay, I didn't hear any of the last part of that because my audio went out just then.
Oh no.
God,
um
I love voice meter banana, but it always finds a way to start fucking up right when I need it the most. But I know where you were going with that. I could kind of figure out.
yeah.
And
So
I agree. Like
ultimately,
mhm.
these gaming studios have to deliver the product that their customers want. It's
Yes.
not like these other ones, like you're gonna take it. Like this is our agenda. You're gonna take. No, 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 no.
That's
You don't
why
get that type of option.
that's why when it came to like Spider-Man and their updated version that they put out, they had pride flags and maybe a BLM thing that was hard to find. They have little
Exactly.
things here or there. When it came to like Cyberpunk 2020, fuck, I
77.
cannot 2077. I wanted to say 2039. I don't know why. 2077.
That's Outrun. Outrun 2039. Why do
I
I
don't know
remember
why.
that? Oh my god, that was
I don't even know what
1994.
Outrun in. I don't even know what Outrun is, but my brain was going 2039. But anyways, okay.
Jesus Christ. That was 1994. Holy crap. Go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's why when you get to like Cyberpunk, you have the trans flag on the back of the trans character, even though that doesn't make sense because a trans character in this world makes more sense because of body augmentation being a huge component.
Mhm.
But that's why they have little things here or there. And that's why in a lot of, I'm actually an advocate for body type 1 or body type 2 or however they want to put it out there for a sole reason as, hey, the gaming industry knows that if you pick any side, you're going to get shit on.
That's correct.
So the middle ground quite literally is body type 1 or body type B. That is the easiest way to do this.
Yep.
But
And
it's
it's
pretty
smart.
self-explanatory which one is body type 1 and body type B. It's pretty self-explanatory.
It is. It's very and but this is the reality. The reality is this. They as far as AAA especially, independents
Mhm.
usually they don't really have to deal with any of this type of stuff. But AAA, what they don't want to do is alienate. If they're smart, let me be clear. If a AAA studio is smart, they're not trying to alienate anybody's money. They can't afford it. There is a lot of money that goes into producing these games. A lot. of money. And it takes a lot to break even. A lot to break even when it comes to the video games. Now, it's not the same as like 2.5 for like a movie or something like that. Usually usually it's by the numbers, because usually how most AAA titles work is, let's just say a game costs $100 million. We're just throwing out numbers. Let's say a game costs $100 million. 9 times out of 10, your advertisement is going to be over YouTube. It's going to be over YouTube. Most overwhelming majority is not getting commercial airtime unless you're like Call of Duty or a title that's so Madden, a title that's so instantly recognizable that you're going to draw in a bazillion people.
To be honest, I think I've only seen a handful like Pokemon commercials as well, unless it's on YouTube. Like when I was watching terrestrial television, I only saw like, I think Gen 4 Platinum trailer. I saw Heart Gold Soul Silver trailer. I saw Unova, and then I didn't see any more trailers.
Yeah, because the majority of your advertisement is not just word of mouth, especially back in the day, used to be magazines, but that's neither here nor there. But modern, I have YouTube. So now I don't have to pay the television. So advertisement budgets are minuscule. And most of those joints are done in-house. So you're not paying, let's say you call me and say, hey, Andre, make a trailer for my video game. No, it's done in-house. So that's part of the budget that actually is the game. And now I'm not going to call Comcast or any of them jokers. They're going to charge me millions. I just put it on YouTube. Put it on YouTube for absolutely free, or put it on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. So essentially, your advertising budget is near nil, more or less. Especially if you're doing events, or well, when E3 used to be a thing, but now that's dead. But whatever, like events that's already in house, you're saving tons of money. So usually
so you can put out
is 1 for 1. Usually it's 1 for 1. Essentially, it's always a little bit, but essentially it's 1 for 1. But I need to make, in this situation, $100 million. That means I need everybody's money. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care who you vote for. I want your money. So AAA studios cannot afford to split. They can't afford it. So if the halfway mark is type 1, type B, type 2, whatever, they'll do it so that they can have those whatever folks. They're like, oh look, I'm a zippity zoppity, or whatever it is they identify as now, and the rest of the planet that knows what's happening. It's smart. It's a brilliant move. I couldn't agree more. It's brilliant.
You know what? JB also brings up a good point. You can enable adverts on your adverts and make money off YouTube adverts. He's actually right, because I remember when Sun and Moon trailers were coming out, I was watching YouTube, and you better believe they were long enough so that they could have 3 trailers in that freaking thing. 3 commercials in there just so they can make the money. It's like, you know what? That makes sense. And you said it earlier, like they can now do the events in-house. Now, I was watching Side Scrollers. This was back around maybe the fall. It was still on first shift at the time. It was cold out. And they were talking about E3, and Stuttering Craig said something that actually made sense. It makes more sense to do in-house, like Pokemon Direct, State of Plays. I don't know what Xbox calls theirs off the top of my head right now, because you actually have more control over what you show. Because when it was at E3, you can get moments where shit just doesn't want to work, or you get moments where you have phones, from Blizzard. So when you have more control over that, you can show people, hey, this is really cool. This is awesome. Here, look at this very pristine version of the game, Starfield. And then when Starfield comes out, it's a pile of donkey shit that I still can't physically play. And I'm halfway to I'm halfway tempted to make 2 videos tomorrow. One, my channel's under attack because I'm convinced I'm freaking shadow banned, and 2, to show the crazy Xbots, Starfield stands, whatever, on Twitter. I'm going to move my freaking Xbox in here. I'm going to hook it up to my Elgato. I'm going to turn on I'm going to turn it on, Starfield on my Xbox, and I'll have it on my PC and show them how I physically can't play on my PC, which is just a year old, just 1 year old, and my Xbox, which is constantly rendering. I physically can't play the game. So it is hot garbage by my standpoint. And when I see people play the game, I'm following what's going on. Guess what? I still don't see anything fun about this game. It is hot steaming garbage. And because of the Twitter weirdos, it's like, you know what? I'm going to show you guys how awful this game is because you pissed me off that much. My phone was blowing up all this morning, even though, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm getting very, very close to getting monetized on Twitter. I am very close, I think. I need to check out the engagement stats. Yeah, I think I need about 3 more, because I finally figured out how to do this. Just 3 more, just getting into one of those areas, saying some stupid shit and people freaking out over me. Oh, I love it. All I said was nah. All I literally said was nah. And I ratioed a dude who also has a blue check. It was beautiful. Oh God, it was so beautiful.
How am I not following you? Hang on.
Wait, you're not following me?
I don't know how I'm not.
I thought you were following me.
I thought I was.
Now you're following me.
Yeah, now I am. There I am.
I could have swore you were. Maybe Twitter unfollowed you.
Yeah. Look, Twitter be doing some wild. Look, I'm saying I'm elbow deep. I've been all over the place. So yeah, I can see it. John could have unfollowed, but yeah, I got you, Jeremy.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, man.
I got you. I got you, my brother. The shizzle, my nizzle.
Oh God. I've heard that in about 15 years. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, okay. Now comes to the question that I've been wondering. So you have comic books. You've done video games. Why YouTube?
So that's actually the easier one. YouTube is for fun. It's just something to do. I enjoy it. Like if I get people that's into what I do and things that I say, I'm down. But I started YouTube, well, this YouTube channel anyway, originally, to give a platform to my fellow independent creators, that otherwise don't have a platform to speak on and share their creative works. I've had a segment that I've done for the last few years now called the Indie Corner, where I sit down with, just like what we're doing now. I sit down with everybody from the independent community. They share their work, they share their links, they share their creative vision, they share their journeys. It's a beautiful thing to just sit there and just hear somebody's passion. So that's one of the main reasons I started it up. And other than that, it's just to have fun and to, just share my thoughts on things that's happening and to, share my voice in the culture war as well. And it's for me, it's therapeutic. Honestly, it's a great feeling. And now recently, I've been having a lot of independent creators send me their books because I reviewed both of Eric July's Isom books, and they got a lot of good traction. So a lot of the other independent people want me to review their books and stuff because, like, even Eric July actually responded to me, and we conversated back and forth a little bit about his work, and it was really good. It was really good. He really appreciated things I said about his work. I was one of the few that was actually featured in his Twitter reel for the reviews that came through for ISO number 2. I was very, very blessed to see that he viewed what I said with such gravitas to actually be recognized in his reel. I was very, 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 very humbled for that. Um, so that's what it's all about. It's all about the culture. It's all about spreading the the word about independence, because we're on the rise. We're not going anywhere, and we are the new standard, and that's what it's about. And that's why I started the channel, and I get to just goof around a bit. So that's always fun.
That is always fun. And guys, all of his links are down in the comment section, description below. My brain's going all over the place. You know me, I'm Dermy. I don't know how I got monetized, to be perfectly honest with you, and I don't know how I got viewers, but hey, my brain does what my brain does. Check him out. Dre is freaking awesome. He always has a good rant now and then. He's always super freaking funny. Honestly, my favorite video of yours is when you're doing OVA work and all you're doing is dubbing over Jed's Immortal Phoenix thing.
Oh boy.
You did that as a joke, and it's one of my favorite things.
As a joke. I did it as a joke.
I need to try to find that real quick because that is hilarious. Does Chit still put it in his video? I know he was putting it.
He's using it now because I know he's revamping his channel to be more more of a review for like media or whatever. So I've done like a couple of the research points for his I did the research one for his Flashpoint video. So I sent his the info for his script so he can get it all done. But I don't know if he's still using it. It's just such a it was a joke. I didn't think he was actually gonna go through with it.
Let me see.
But it was funny. That was funny. That was
I got it. I found an old one. Found an old one.
No.
Let me get YouTube to quit buffering for a moment. This is still my favorite thing that you've done. So here's Hollywood Scholar. Wonderful pause face, by the way.
Oh my God. You feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? Oh, I know you missing it. So check out my book series.
It started buffering, but it's still my favorite thing.
A mythological epic.
I love it. I love it. Go check.
Oh, God.
I need to see if he's still putting that in his thing because that is too good not to put in. Okay.
Oh, God. And I was just goofing around. I was like, he's like, hey Dre, send that to me. I was like, all right, whatever, fine, I'll do it. I was like,
I think he's still putting it in. He's still putting it in. Yes, he's still putting it in. I love it. Oh man, I love it so much. I love Jed. I love that clip. It is a fantastic clip.
Oh God, that's funny. That's funny. But Dermy, I want to thank you so much, my friend, for inviting me to your tremendous In the Tiny Chair, bro. This has been really fun. I really enjoyed myself.
And this is a whole lot different than everything else I do, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. I actually was able to keep my lunch down.
You probably have a whole different opinion than me right now. Like, oh my God, this dude can be respectable. What the hell?
Two sides to every coin.
But I love having you on. I love getting to talk to you. I hope I get to go on Roundtable. Why was I blanking on Roundtable? God damn it, my brain. But I hope I get to go on Roundtable again here soon. And wait, what is? Oh, that's right. Tris found me thanks to Jed and the unicorn balls.
That'll do it.
That was Adam that did the unicorn balls. But yeah, I get found in very unique, interesting ways. But yes, guys, again, check out Dre's stuff. It's all in the description down below. I got his link tree. I will quickly drop his comic one more time in both YouTube and Rumble chats.
You're too kind. You're too kind. And if you want to keep up with me, follow me on Twitter primarily. Hit me up on Twitter, tag me, whatever. Follow me there. That's the best way to. That's the main social media I actually use. Instagram, barely use it. Facebook, if I'm not doing a promotion for the comic, I'm not really using Facebook. So Twitter, you can hit me up at any time. I'd love to just hear from you guys. Just say what's up and all that great stuff. Interested in any of my work, I would love to hear from you all. And for those that have checked out my work, special shout outs to my homie on Rumble that's checked out, please hit me up on Twitter. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But coming soon, I will, like I mentioned earlier, I will be having an Indiegogo at the end of the fall, if memory serves me correct, because the graphic novel for Trouble is finally here. It's finally here.
Going to be coming on Ballbusters to help pump that out.
And we're going to do an Indiegogo for it. It's going to be a whole lot of cool tiers. And I got a lot of unique stuff coming down the pipeline for it. So right when that is announced, trust me, I'll be doing the rounds.
Hit me up because I can get you I can get you in with a few people, but you're gonna have to not be a granddad and go to bed at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. Trust me, because if I could get you on someplace to get you some good connections,
that would be great, Jeremy. And I
really
don't
good connections.
Thank you. 8:30.
Still grandpa. Yeah. Stay up till midnight like a real man.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to keep these crow's feet out of here.
Black don't crack. What you talking about? Look at me.
But let's not test it. Oh yeah. Look at Jeremy. Look at all that melanin, all that sweet melanin.
All the sweet melanin. Yeah. It's because of the cum. Okay, cum's the moisturizer.
Oh God.
I had to do something. You know me. I had to say something, and this just went straight from light PG, borderline PG-13, straight up to borderline R. That's just correct. With that comment. So hey, it is what it is. But thank you guys for checking us out. Remember, tomorrow night we got Ballbusters. We got Toxic Man Flu coming on. So get ready for that. I have internet, so that's going to be good. We're not going to have another car stream. Please, for the love of God, not another car stream. I will not be hitting a deer at the end of the stream. I will be drinking, and I already have to owe, I believe, 3 or 4 shots at the beginning of the stream. I owe right off the bat to make up for last week where I couldn't take the shots. So yeah, we're already going straight into me drinking and getting drunk. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be amazing. And Dre, you got anything else coming up that you want to pimp out for the people?
So I'll be dropping another video on my YouTube channel, Brutal Plan Comics, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't know what I'm gonna be talking about just yet, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something as spicy in the morning that I'll have something to discuss at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Follow me on Twitter at TheBrute00. If you want to check out my work at asapimagination.com, check out the collection. I would love to have your support there. You guys are tremendous, and do all those great YouTube things. If you check out my channel, like, comment, subscribe. You guys have been tremendous, and this has been a really fun time for me. And follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, follow him everywhere, guys. And it's just now dawning on me, I don't have a tiny chair outro. That's going to have to be created, and it might just be me farting into a fireplace. So in the meantime, we're going to do Mayhem outro. Listen, I have to have some sort of fun thing, but bye, guys. See you on the flip side.
What? Toodaloo, motherfucker. Hey.